In the 16th century, the Kashmir Valley sat isolated at the roof of the world. Protected by geography and ringed by imposing snowy peaks, it was a high-altitude sanctuary physically insulated from the rest of the continent. If you walked through the valley in 1550, you would find a specialized agricultural economy. The saffron harvest turned vast fields of purple and gold, creating a region so wealthy and physically beautiful that neighboring rulers called it paradise on earth. Outside of this tranquil valley, 16th century Asia was characterized by rapid territorial expansion. It was an era defined by violent conquests and shifting borders across the continent. But because Kashmir was so physically difficult to reach, it became a unique political experiment. The society had the rare luxury of ignoring the rapid military advancements occurring elsewhere, treating the mountains as their primary defense. Into this setting came a young woman named Haba Khatun. She was a peasant shepherdess with no political standing, yet she held a rare kind of influence. Her singing voice was so mesmerizing that travelers would stop mid-journey just to listen. One afternoon, the king of Kashmir, Yusuf Shah Chak, heard her singing in the saffron fields. He broke royal tradition and class boundaries to marry the shepherdess, eventually placing a crown on her head. This marriage changed how the state functioned. The royal couple began replacing traditional military strategy councils with intimate gatherings like this, where the nobility competed in poetry and music rather than preparing for conflict. By making artistic achievement a requirement of the court, the crown began to govern through cultural resonance. Their rule became a model based on shared art and poetry, rather than the extraction of compliance through the threat of force. While this kingdom of poetry achieved deep internal stability, the decision to prioritize art over armor left the valley critically exposed. They had built a society that was culturally vibrant, but physically defenseless. Far to the south, Emperor Akbar was consolidating his hold over the Mughal Empire. He commanded the most sophisticated military machine in the region, fueled by a philosophy of constant armed expansion. This 16th century map illustrates Akbar's geopolitical focus. The massive Mughal Empire made the tiny territory of Kashmir look like a strategic gap. In 1579, Akbar acted, sending aggressive military vectors pushing north into Kashmir's borders to claim the valley. The invasion force arrived at the border of a kingdom that had no standing army and no tradition of modern warfare. The valley's reliance on soft power was about to meet the reality of a hard invasion. Yusuf Shah faced a choice: authorize an unwinnable, bloody defense of the mountains, or risk his own person to negotiate a peace treaty. Choosing to avoid the slaughter of his people, Yusuf traveled south to Akbar's court, relying on the traditional immunity granted to visiting heads of state. But Akbar prioritized the immediate annexation of the valley over diplomatic norms. The moment the Kashmiri king arrived, Akbar discarded the rules of safe passage. Yusuf was seized and imprisoned, ending the possibility of a negotiated settlement before it even began. The final ruling was absolute. The king was sentenced to permanent exile in the distant plains of Bihar, thousands of miles from his home. Looking at these distant, treacherous passes, the weight of his exile is clear. This terrain ensured Yusuf would never see his queen again. In this immediate tactical struggle, Akbar's betrayal worked perfectly. By ignoring the rules of diplomacy, he decapitated Kashmir's leadership and secured the valley without a single major battle. Back in the valley, Haba Khatun was left completely isolated. In a few months, she had lost her political status, her husband, and her protection. She did not go silent. Instead, she turned to the one thing the Mughal army could not seize: her voice. She began to wander the meadows where she once sang as a shepherdess, composing songs about the loss of her king and her country. These songs spread through the villages and reached the peasantry. By turning her personal heartbreak into an oral tradition, she created a form of cultural resistance that no occupying force could effectively police or silence. 5 centuries have passed, and the Mughal Empire has long since collapsed. The military machine that once dictated the fate of millions is now a matter of archaeological record. But on these decorated boats and in the kitchens of the modern valley, the songs of Haba Khatun are still sung. Her words have been passed down from mother to daughter for 500 years. The empire that conquered the valley through force has faded into history, while the lullabies of the grieving queen remain a daily presence in the lives of the Kashmiri people. Hard power and armies can seize territory and hold it for a few generations, but profound cultural soft power possesses the unique ability to conquer time itself.